Hey everyone, welcome back to 22 Panels. This is the podcast that aims to examine, explore, and elevate the medium of comics. I am Tyler, and across the interwebs from me is Tad. Hey Tad, how's it going?
It is going fantastic. This is what my third night of podcasting in a row.
We have been
I'm really
on a
enjoying it.
roll, yeah.
We've got a couple more. We managed to have booked ahead of the nominations both a creative team
hmm
tomorrow night that is all celebrating their first Eisner nomination, and then next week we have Kelly Thompson who got five this year.
Wow.
So uh, Mike, I think is no stranger to Eisner Awards. Um, you, you, you've got one or just
Yeah,
nominated?
back in
I
way
think you
back in the
forgot.
day when Powers first came out with the
That's what I
best new
thought.
series. Yeah.
Right, right. So our guest again tonight is Mike Avon Oeming, who's one of the
Hello.
most hardest working and most generous artists in comics. Who's just all over the place, and
Oh,
it's
thanks,
so
man. Thanks for having
so
me
good
on. I
talking to him.
appreciate it.
It's so much fun. Um, and was kind enough to give us a peek at William and Newberry coming up. And I forgot to pull up my page to see when it's coming out. But give us the plug for William and Newberry, and by the time you're done, I'll be able to tell people when it comes out.
So William of Newbury is based on a true story, even though this is anthropomorphic stuff. There was a historic medieval monk who wrote the first histories of England. And his name was William of Newburgh, but different parts of the country, said his name different ways, and parts of it became Newberry, which was more fitting for the comic.
Okay.
And he was writing about a time in history called the Anarchy, where there were struggles between successions of kings and queens, and the whole country kind of went into the Civil War. And at the same time, he's writing the very true story, the very, real facts of, this happened here and that happened there. He's also writing these stories about revenants and ghosts and demons and zombies because this was a Christian medieval world where these things were very real. So I like to say this is all based on true stories. And even the stories that I'm writing here, there are basically four stories, four chapters for each issue, and they're all based on they're named the same names of stories that he recorded at the time.
Okay.
So each chapter is an actual story of William of Newbury, which I had to change a little bit. Some of it was so wild I had to tone it down because it's not that this is specifically all ages. It's really not. Like I kind of know who my audience is, but I
Right.
wanted to just keep it open.
Right.
So like some of the blood had to be toned down and
Right.
stuff. And yeah, he's basically telling medieval ghost stories. He was kind of called the first medieval ghost hunter or the first medieval vampire hunter, even though he
Okay.
never left the monastery.
So what attracted you to those writings to work with?
I mean, the setting. I grew up, fantasy and medieval imagery very early on captivated me. This particular story I loved, and it's funny, it comes out of Blue Book, weirdly enough.
Okay.
So in
That'll
the
make
back of
Tyler
Blue Book,
happy.
James Tinian
Me
wanted to
too.
do these stories called True Weird. So they were just ancillary stories of weird stuff. And one of my favorite stories was always this thing called The Green Children of Woolpit. So back in like 1138 or something, these children showed up on this farm in what's called a wolf pit. It's what they would capture wolves in.
Yeah.
And these kids were green, like their skin was green, their clothes were green, and they didn't speak English. And nobody knew where they came from. One of them died. They couldn't speak English. They didn't seem to recognize some of the foods. And then one of them died. The other one grew up and eventually learned English and told the story about how they came from another land, this
hmm
place called St. Martin's Land, where the sky was green all the time and it was always night. And basically, they were kind of saying they were fairies. They came from the fairy world, and this was the general conclusion of the time. Now, Newberry and I think another writer were suspecting that these were actually refugees from these Flemish refugees from the other side of the water. I forget where the Flemish were from offhand. And that they were malnourished, and because this was during that time period of the anarchy where there's a lot of war and stuff going around.
hmm
But that was the folklore was that these green children showed up and they were, they fit into the sort of the fairy folklore stuff. So I did this story for True Weird. And I loved the story, and as I read it, and that's when I found out that William of Newbury had written these other stories of revenants and ghosts and folklore, and I was like, oh God, yeah, I got to just do a story about this guy. Then I started thinking about like, well, what will really set it apart from just being, medieval Hellboy.
Right.
So, and then I started thinking about the anthropomorphic thing. I had missed doing Mice Templar. Um, and I started thinking about like what are the advantages of telling a story anthropomorphically? Like what can I say about humanity and people in these stories using anthropomorphic forms? So I'm not just using them haphazardly, but like there's a reason for it all. And the story just started to gel, and that informed the characters, and then the characters informed the story. And honestly, it kind of all came together all at once, the whole story, the concept, and everything. And I kind of felt more like an archaeologist just picking away the dirt and the dust from it. Like all the pieces were there. And it was one of those gifts. So that's kind of how it started.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's fantastic. And the teacher and me had to look up Flemish. Flemish is Low Franconian dialect cluster of the Dutch language.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sometimes referred to as Flemish Dutch, Belgian Dutch, Southern Dutch. Native to the region known as Flanders in northern Belgium.
There you go.
Like I said, teacher and me, we don't know the answer to a geography question. I gotta
and it would make sense because like at that time, people only knew. I mean, depending on who you were and where you were in the country, you had limited knowledge of the rest of the world. People had never even really seen
limited
maps.
knowledge of the rest of the country.
Yeah, exactly. So like they wouldn't hear their language and think, oh, this sounds like they're from Amsterdam,
Right.
Right. I mean, this is not just before cell phones. It's like,
yeah,
mail was.
There's a lot of word of mouth, basically.
Word of mouth. Yeah.
It was
yeah.
So, Mike,
I mean, one of your characters had to learn to read.
Yeah.
That's part of the plot story was like, and that's the big sell. I mean, the sell was sort of like, what is it about? What influenced it, right? And it was this history, but what it's really about are the characters, the two characters. So you have this neurotic monk who is really afraid of the world, unless it's straight out evil. Like he can face up to evil, fine, but he has to if he's going into a dank dungeon or something, that he's afraid of the spiders and the ickiness. And he and this thief get together, and they find reasons to help each other. And like the thief wants to learn how to read specifically so that she can be a better thief, to forge like paperwork for land ownership and stuff like that. And the priest wants to teach her because she figures, well, if I teach her like to read through the Bible, maybe I'll convert her from her evil ways or something like that. And she's like, yeah, fine, teach me like that. I don't care, whatever. I'm still gonna be a thief.
Totally.
So it was a really fun contradiction to have like a thief and a priest be teamed up together.
How did you choose raccoon?
Yeah, I was just going to ask that.
It's not a common anthropomorphic choice.
I mean, it was easy for me because my first choice was a fox.
Sure.
Okay.
And I'm not sure why that was, other than I don't know, that image just popped in my head. But obviously, for my work's always been very influenced by Mike Mignola.
Right.
And Mike has done several anthropomorphic fox characters, or drawings, not really characters like in the books, but just drawings. I think he's done one for Trickster, and he's done a couple other images that really stick in my head. And I no matter what I did, all I was doing was copying Mike's fox.
Sure.
And for as influenced as I am by him, I'm also conscious to not be just a total clone, So there's this fine line between, I grew up in the school of Mignola. I grew up studying his work way before Hellboy, way before his style developed into what it was. So I'd always just been influenced and learned through him and stuff.
Sure.
So, I'm both wanting to fly my flag high, but also to be, watch my territory, right? Right. So yeah, that's when and weirdly, like, he did Rocket Raccoon, but his version of Raccoon doesn't stick in my head the way that his version of that fox did. Like that fox image was just so strong. I was like, I'm just going to draw his fox, and I don't want to do that. So
you just
that's where the
mask on it and some
stripes on the tail,
hands on the table, on the tail, and now it's yours.
yeah. And there's different facial construction things going on there and stuff. And then
I
eventually...
was just making fun of you, Mike.
Oh yeah. It's all good, man.
So what's it like? What's your work like when you are doing all the duties, right? Writing, artist, colorist, versus when you're working on a project with, let's say, with James Tynion, what what's your work like? Your workload?
Weirdly, the Tinian thing helped me do the full colors.
Yep.
So I've been coloring just covers over the years, and every now and then I would color like a short story.
Yeah.
Um, and over the years, like I learned to do a little bit of lettering, and then the lettering got from functional to slightly better, and it's still just slightly better than functional.
Sure.
I don't want to. I'm not of the level of my peers who are real letterers, and I really, really respect their
We're speaking.
abilities.
We're speaking with Clem Robbins in a couple days, I think.
Mm. Oh, there
Yeah,
you go.
yeah.
Good example.
Thursday.
And then, but through Blue Book, like I'd basically been doing the tones of full colors with just these two colors of blue,
Mm-hmm.
and it just wasn't a giant leap because my particular style of coloring is a limited color palette.
Yep.
So typically, I'll choose two contrasting colors. Like an easy example is blue and red. I'll start out with a couple of blue and reds on the page, and then everything kind of becomes a variation of that. And I'm only, so I'm not using a wide range of colors. Um, so already kind of doing that in blue, it didn't seem much of a step to then go further and just fully color it.
Right.
And then some of the choices are practical. So lettering it myself had less to do with anything else other than I had a budget for each issue of William of Newbury. And
Right.
if I could do everything myself, the budget was worked out better for myself. So that was the reason for doing it. But then I also learned a lot about my own writing as a letterer. And now I kind of want to letter everything because it is the final swoop of writing that you can do where you're seeing, you know, the character's expressions and what's happening on the page directly with your dialogue. Um, and it's different to ask a letterer to start changing dialogue wildly. Like I'd say 20% of my dialogue changes once I'm lettering it from the script that I was happy with that had been edited and everything.
Oh,
Right.
But I'll find new beats. Or even if it's the same lettering, the same words, now I find a different way to arrange them on the page. So learning to letter really affected my writing as well. So like, and then the same thing with the coloring. There are color choices that you can make that really express the mood on a page that you might not capture otherwise. And then weirdly, I really learned. I'm writing an Assassin's Creed novel, not novel, graphic novel, miniseries right now.
I was
Sure.
about to say you're going full on into prose.
Yeah. No, I'm not.
What's going
I'm
on,
too dumb to
Mike?
write a novel. But what I discovered even in writing for somebody else, it had been so long. Mirko Kolak is this amazing artist he's drawing it, but a lot of my writing comes in like stage direction, and then once that stage direction is out, because a different artist is taking it with their own take, some of my writing then doesn't translate, and then I kind of have to rewrite it after seeing Mirko's work so that it has some life into it because something like I'm seeing it as writer slash director in a weird or actor director in a weird way.
Mm-hmm.
So like all of these steps overlapping each other, like they all inform each other. Learning to color inform me as a writer, learning to letter inform me as a writer, learning to draw inform me as a writer, and vice versa. So it's so doing everything has been it's not a control issue. Like I need to do all these things, but like
Right.
I'm just learning with each step of it. And thank God with all the digital tools that we have now, it makes that stuff much faster than when I was younger. When I was younger, those things they're just too time consuming to even consider to do, and now it can all be done pretty quickly. If you have a simple style like me, I mean, there are other artists obviously who are much more involved than I am, and it would be a pain in the butt for them to do.
Yeah. Um. Yeah. Because obviously Newbury is done. So are you then working on Galaxy of Madness? Are you done with Blue Book? Are you
So
done with Newbury right
Galaxy,
now?
not to burst anybody's bubble that I'm faster or more prolific than I am in any way. I actually drew those issues during the pandemic.
So that's been done for a while.
It's been done for a little while,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
And we had originally I planned on releasing it digitally, and then like things were just shifting because during the pandemic
Oh yeah.
there was a whole pencils down because the
Right.
distributor stopped distributing, and like our three-legged table of the comics
Right.
industry felt like it lost a leg, and we're like, all right, this
Right.
who knows what's going to happen anymore. So we had to just do a lot of like shifting and of directions and stuff. So, but anyway, it took us a little time to find a home and the right timing for it. Matt Cave thankfully picked it up, and I say thankfully because
Yeah.
Matt Cave's been doing amazing stuff
Yes.
for
Batcave has
a
been doing
relatively new company. You know,
Right.
I mean, they just
right.
upgraded their
Well,
10th
10
year.
years old.
Yeah,
10 years
They're
old.
10 already?
But yeah, well, they've got their new logo and everything. This is 10 years of Mad Cave, but I feel like they hit their anniversary and they decided they were going to supercharge this year. I mean,
yeah. I think
Tyler and I
they
have been
just
noticing all sorts of great stuff. I was talking to the Mad Cave people at C2E2. You know, we've had a couple of Maverick guests already,
Yep.
you know, and I heard wonderful things from artists that worked for them at C2E2, like direct deposit
yeah.
and
Yeah, no,
paid on
they're
time and
respectful.
well.
They pay you on time.
Right.
I think they did just a super smart thing is they've been around for 10 years, but that's because they didn't try to super accelerate their company.
Right.
And this happens all the time. You'll see these promising new publishers, and often they have money behind them, and then they have to answer for that money in a certain way. And I don't know how Mad Cave is structured, but they didn't step on their own toes to get to where they are now.
Right.
Right.
Which is why like I think it was about 2 years ago I first started to notice them, and that their Sherwood
Yeah.
series is really
The
what
Nottingham.
blew things up.
Yeah.
And I think part of it is their success comes from they're easy to buy their comics from.
Right.
Now you can get them through the direct market, you can get them through bookstores and other stuff, but you can also buy them directly right there
Right.
from your my wife is dancing with her like Bugs Bunny trying to distract
Hi,
me.
Taki.
Mhm.
You can say hello.
Come
We
on
like
over.
Taki. Taki
You're
was
not
on
on camera
before you.
Yeah, we're not recording the video. So anyway.
Hello.
Hello.
Hey, Taki. I mean, we
How's
were
it
about to
going?
start. You colored Galaxy of Madness, so I mean,
Yeah, we're talking about Galaxy.
talk
Oh
about
yeah.
You have a coloring question for her?
Well, I mean, how did you feel that Mike went and colored his own book with William and Newberry? Was there any?
Oh, I was really
Wait a minute,
proud.
isn't that my job?
No, I was really proud because he's actually one of the people who actually taught me how to color. Really.
Okay.
Okay.
So it was him.
No, he's shaking his hand. No, this is a
Dave
video
Stewart
podcast. So I'm
taught
going
her.
to say,
Dave Stewart and Nick Filardi. Yeah. But
so, so are
Galaxy
you
Madness
working
is,
on anything new since we have you for a second? Because I'm
yeah.
anxiously
working on-
waiting your
Some
follow.
stuff you can't announce yet.
Yeah.
but some-
Well,
Hey, as long as
things
it's
I can't
coming, that's
announce.
all I care about.
I just found a home for like 2 titles.
Oh, awesome.
Nice.
Yeah, and then we have this project that Mike and I are doing together, based on Van Gogh. Oh, I have my t-shirt.
Nice.
We've got a lot of art historians
Yes.
that are adjacent to this podcast, so we're going to be
Yeah.
all. Oh, my wife is
Tad's wife is also an
Oh
art
my
teacher.
God.
I'm an art teacher. So
Really?
yeah.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Oh my God, that'd be so
So
fun to like talk about
we
Van
will
Gogh
we
and
will
like
be very much wanting to talk to you about Van Gogh. I think you mentioned the Van Gogh thing as something that was
Yeah.
germinating when we talked to you last.
yeah, I
Yeah.
think I did, and like yeah, I'm dying to talk to like people who really really know Van Gogh's like.
Well, I will make certain
really-
that we drag my wife onto that podcast. We
Ah,
manage
that'd
to
be
get her
great.
Did
on
you
every
like-
once in a while.
So
She's
cool.
shy, but when I say Van Gogh, I think that will be enough to get her.
Oh
to-
yeah,
Did you guys like-
the research?
did you like that Van Gogh movie that was done with his artwork, and it was animated, like it was an animated version of his artwork?
We want to watch it, but we purposely stayed away. As soon as we started working on it, we stayed away from anything. So we've missed that. We haven't watched the William Dafoe one.
Oh, the William
or
Dafoe one
want
is
to.
really good too.
Yeah.
Just
The-
wanted
the-
to keep it
The
Yeah.
that way.
animated one, definitely catch it as soon as you're done.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because you don't want to be influenced. That I get, but I
Yeah,
actually took
I
my
don't want
wife
to be
to that.
influenced and like
I
yeah.
took my wife to that in the theater, and she has a high
Threshold.
threshold when
Yeah.
it comes to like doing like when Van Gogh was on Doctor Who, she couldn't watch it because she's like, no,
It wasn't
they,
done
they
right.
messed it up.
Yep.
We love
Well, it is
Christopher Moore
historical
books,
fiction,
and
Yeah.
there's
first
one
of
of them that
all.
she can't listen to because he got too much of the art history wrong.
Yeah, she may not like this then, because this is sort of a
It's a post-impressionism biography of Van Gogh
Okay.
in
But
1888.
is the Van Gogh accurate? It's
I'm
not
sorry,
about
what?
the art. Is the Van Gogh Van Gogh?
Oh yeah, it's Van
Yeah,
Gogh, Van
no,
Gogh,
it's the history
and the
part
story
that she
is
gets
being
upset about.
told through the eyes of his brother Theo.
Right.
Yeah, she'll love that.
Yeah,
Yep.
there's lots of
She'll
Theo
love that.
Johanna is in there.
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah.
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 No, she'll love that. It's if she looks at Van Gogh and she's like, no, he wasn't that happy.
No.
Or-
Yeah.
And I also believe he wasn't as plagued by
Yeah.
his mental illness
See, the Willem
as much as
She's
Dafoe,
like
sometimes
he
portrayed.
painted to be.
the
Right.
Willem
You
Dafoe
know,
movie really portrays it that way.
Oh,
Yeah,
cool.
and
Cool.
yeah. So
Yeah,
yeah,
we've had mental illness in our family, and it's not everything that you are, you
Yeah.
know.
No.
the
Yeah.
very fact that he was so
Yeah, me
prolific,
too.
he was
I
such a
know.
prolific artist, painter,
Yeah.
showed me that like he had clarity and
Mhm.
he wasn't just dredged in pain
Misery.
and misery and
Yeah.
depression, you know. So yeah, so I really believe that yeah, Van Gogh wasn't who a lot of people
Oh
thought he
yeah,
was.
no, there's yeah, no, we'll have to get my wife
I
involved
can't
in
wait
that.
to talk about it. I can't wait to
Absolutely.
talk about it and read it.
She's a Van Gogh geek.
Well, yeah.
Great to see you, Taki.
See you, Taki.
Yeah, we'll definitely have to
We're
have
all
another,
for
yeah.
the photo bombs in the middle of our episodes.
Help to Mike Russell and Mark.
Fun.
I mean, particularly when we happen to talk to people who live with other cartoonists that we like a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is our whole day. Like all we do is we talk about the story, we talk about art, we're just talking about we just pick apart everything that we watch, whether it's television or a commercial. You know, what was this about? What was the messaging? Did we,
Okay,
did
now
they
I just
understand
want
what
to
they
be
were
a
telling
fly
us?
on your wall from time to time.
But real quick, let me go back to Mad Cave.
Yes.
Yes.
One of the pieces of success is that they're easy to order from. You can go to their website.
Right.
If you just look up Mad Cave Galaxy of Madness, there's a button right there. You can order the book directly from them.
Yep.
You know, a lot of times it is hard to get people who don't know how to order comics to order them, you know. And there are pages that are trying to be really fair to everybody, to every retailer and to every bookstore. So they have all these other links of places you can go. But if you're really not that familiar with it, you might not understand what you're looking at. Whereas it says Matt Cave is like, order right here and they'll
Well,
ship
and
it
I
directly
know that
to
they
you.
also did a lot to help retailers during the time. So even
Oh, yeah.
so, you know, because
You can do both.
even though
You can do both.
order from them, they take
Mhm.
care of their retailers as well.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I was impressed talking to them about is so many of the newer publishers practically think of themselves as IP farms. And
Sure.
for Mad Cave, it's not that they're opposed to the idea of any of their stuff getting bought or whatever, but they want to be a comics business.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're not a comics business hoping for a bigger payday somewhere else.
Yeah,
They
no,
have
exactly.
a business
They're
model
here for
built
comics.
around being a sustainable comics business.
Yep. Yeah.
And if they happen to do, if something gets optioned or whatever, great.
Yep. Yeah.
But that's
They've
not
been nothing but supportive,
Yeah.
nothing but just great. Just great all the way around. The editors are
I've
attentive,
been-
hearing from James Emmett. He's one of the editors there, and he's responsive immediately. I don't have to chase him down. It's weird. Sometimes you have to chase an editor down. You always hear about
I have heard
creators
horror
being
stories
chased down, but
sometimes.
yeah, it's very strange. Anyway, great company. So Galaxy of Madness, that came out of the pandemic. That was done before. So I'm not drawing 10 things
You don't have
at
to
once.
draw
And
10
I tend to
things at
try and
once.
just work on projects ahead of time. I'll even
And
start
just
before I have
because I have
publishers or
dates
anything.
now, Galaxy of Madness is June 19th. William and Newbury is coming up on May 29th. So
Next
a
week.
from
Yeah.
tomorrow. Yeah, no. I what I did want to ask though is, I mean, you're the rare triple threat
Mhm.
where you work with other writers, you occasionally write for other people, and you write and draw your own stuff. I'm going to ask dual questions. The first is the difference between the three, but then the second, because you're also the rare person that's really known for your collaboration with one guy. Everybody knows you work with Bendis. You've
Who?
worked a ton with Bendis, right?
Yeah.
But you also work with other people. So
Yeah.
talk to me about the differences, particularly because I imagine at this point you and Bendis have a shorthand for a
Oh,
lot
for
of things.
sure.
So what's it like going from doing a United States of Murder Incorporated to, okay, now I've never worked with this Tynion guy
Yep.
before and we have to find our rhythm.
Now, James and Brian, other than being good people, nice guys who are empathetic and are good listeners and good communicators, they're different personality wise. Other than that, like at the basis, they're kind of that same person. But otherwise, they're very, very different. The writing styles are different, except they both understand story inside out. So if I'm working with a writer who understands story inside out, that communication is just as clear with somebody who I'm working with the first time as is them working with Brian.
Okay.
So the first time I'm working with James, I didn't know what to expect, but it was great. He completely understood story. Anything I gave him, he didn't go like, "Well, Mike, I don't understand what you did here because it's not exactly what was in the script. So like, can you change this because this thing didn't happen or something?" And
Right.
I don't change the script wildly. I'll just maybe
Right.
add or subtract some panels. And we are kind of working loosely, almost Marvel style, where he's giving me dialogue on a page, but not panel breakdowns and stuff.
Gotcha.
So instead of like being confused by anything that does, James, as a writer, knows how to make it work for him, or he can yes end it, as Brian says. There's a lot of
Okay.
that,
Yes,
the yes end thing, right? So if I
Right.
give him something slightly different, intentionally or not, there's no sense of confusion and like the flow is all there. So like if you understand story, um, then it's not a problem. The problems are when some writers can fetishize their scripts,
Okay.
so then it becomes more of an issue. Like I work with Chris Roberson right now on a BPRD story. We're doing a new BPRD thing together,
Nice.
and we've only worked together once before on a short story. But again, he understands stories, so like every beat of the script, I'm like, oh, I understand this and why. Oh, this is building up to that. This is establishing this. So it's effortless, And he's given me a full script, which is very different than Tinian's more open scripts. Brian deconstructs his scripts when I'm done. So he'll give me a script and he changes it radically to the point of like stripping out dialogue. I'm like, why did you take the dialogue out? Like I drew that because of what you wrote, and it
It's
like
like
so inspired the best.
did such a good
Yeah,
job.
yeah, and it's a good example of like the ego is always put aside. What is best for the story? Like if the image works better than his words, he takes his words out.
Right.
If my images, sometimes I'll do this a purposefully static, straight on, boring shot to emphasize what he's saying because the writing is so good. Right. So, and then sometimes, I mean, there's a lot of different examples of that of like, well, what, a colorist will drop all the blacks that I put out on a page and their color holds now or something. Right. And that changes my intention of the thing, but then becomes better because the colorist understood that story beat better than I did,
Right.
or is adding to it.
Right.
So as long as you really understand and respect story, that flow is really easy, even if somebody has a different sense of pacing and all of that. At least for me, I really, really enjoy collaboration, which is why you'll see me working with other creators more so than companies.
Right.
And it's not that I have anything against the companies. It's just I really enjoy working with other creators, other writers specifically.
Tell me about the flip side. What's it like to be the writer?
I mean,
doing that again with Assassin's Creed. What's it like to have to try to put yourself into another artist's hand? What's he gonna do with this?
So I've done a lot of that in the past where I wrote for other artists, like when I was working at Marvel.
Right.
But I was a different writer then. It was some different experiences, and they were all really good. Especially working with Scott Collins, that was one of my best working collaborations. And another good example, he didn't follow sort of my panel layout stuff. Like he told the story in his own beats, but he understood how to tell a story, right? And how to find his own rhythm and everything. When I chose the reason I'm doing Assassin's Creed Odyssey, for it's part of Mirage actually. Odyssey got me into the Assassin's Creed games. This Emma Wave Taki were teaching at Portland State. I had been sitting in on a lot of the writing classes, and it just
Okay.
inspired me to want to get
Yeah,
myself outside of my own comfort zone. And I was like, I want to do some work for hire writing
I
again. I
keep
hadn't
having
done
to
work for hire
watch their
writing in like
master
10 years
classes on
or longer.
video because we keep having
Yeah.
podcasts scheduled for the same time that they're on live.
Oh, the masterclass.
Well, that was another big inspiration
Right.
was those classes. So I wrote to Dark Horse, and I was like, I was looking for work on, properties that they had that I was really interested in. Like Witcher was one of them. Assassin's Creed was another, and Assassin's Creed was available. So I didn't know who I was going to be teamed up with or anything, so I just wrote the scripts.
Okay.
And that's where I learned the weakness of my own writing was that, I was still writing for myself.
Okay.
Now, part of that was because I didn't know who the artist was when I began, so we didn't know it was going to be Mirko. So I didn't get a chance to like sit down and learn his style. So I was still kind of writing for myself, which is why like I ended up writing a lot of silent scenes
Okay.
that only worked if I was drawing it, you know.
Right.
So then but I mean, Mirko's a
don't
good
put any
storyteller and he
pressure on him,
understands.
Mike.
Yeah, and Mirko's got his own way of telling the story. So then afterwards, I don't have to like wildly change things, but like I learned, I was imposing my artistic view on the artist,
Okay.
even though I was telling myself that I wasn't. I totally
Right.
was.
You
So
didn't
that's
go
one of the things
full on
I'm learning,
early
and I can't.
Bendis and draw thumbnails for him, did you?
No, nothing like that. But I almost did in the script, which was what wasn't cool. Like, kind of setting up the shots and the pacing instead
Okay.
of trusting the artist but I also didn't know who it was going to be. So that's
You didn't
why
know
I
who the
wrote it
artist was going to
in
be.
that way.
Yeah.
So what would be really fun is to get to do a work for hire thing with somebody else where I know who they are ahead of time.
Ahead of time.
Especially Mirko, because he's got certain strengths that I would really like to play up to. Like his sort of sword and sorcery barbarian stuff is just so powerful, and his images, which is these big, strong, high contrasty stuff that I would like to play up to more. So hopefully we'll get to work again too.
That would be cool.
That'd be awesome.
And I feel that I'm going to have to read this. I keep having to read
I
these
know.
books that I'd never read
It's
because
so
people that I
funny.
know and like are working on them.
Because Tad is going to read a G.I. Joe book because it's a
Yeah.
Scarlet one, right?
Yeah, Kelly Thompson's writing a G.I. Joe book. I can't not read a Kelly Thompson
Sure.
book.
Here's the thing. I am all over the IPs, but
the last time I read a G.I. Joe book, I was 4. I had one G.I. Joe comic when I was 4.
I'm all over
Yeah.
these, and you are like so averse to them. It's funny.
I'm mostly averse to Marvel DC most of the time. Not even because like I dislike them, but because I've read so many of those stories that yes, I want to go read a great one. If somebody tells me that so and so is doing this and it's amazing, or this new person is doing this and it's just this whole new take, I'm gonna go jump in. But I'm way less likely to take a chance on an established property than, ooh, this cool thing
I can feel you
people I've
too.
never heard of
Yeah, yeah. Which is
at
why it's
some
always
small
interesting when you
press.
see somebody like geek out and they're doing something from the childhood, whether it's Teenage
Right.
Mutant Ninja Turtles or Dynamic Forces has like a bunch
Well,
of like
yeah, no, I mean it's like
space ghosts and stuff, right?
I've become good friends with Christopher Cantwell, and I wasn't a Star Trek guy, but he's a massive Star Trek guy. So when he got Star Trek, it's like, oh god, now I not only have to read Star Trek, I need to go learn about Star Trek
Mm,
because I'm gonna care, and I
yeah,
do. I mean, it's not really an oh god in a bad
yeah,
way. It's generally overall a good thing. It's just that, I don't have enough time to read all the comics I want to read
yeah,
already.
yeah,
I have to make decisions, and it's easier when I can just say no G.I.
yeah.
Joe, no.
Sure, sure. Yeah, it's hard just to find the time to read,
No.
Yeah.
I teach high school.
It's funny.
I mean, thankfully, we encourage independence in the special ed kids. So there's a lot of time where I can sit back and read a comic because I'm encouraging independence. I have to be ready to jump out of the comic, but
That's
though
funny.
today I almost broke down laughing in the middle of a chemistry test because if you've been reading Tom King's Wonder Woman,
No, but Tom King's great. So
Yeah, well,
yeah,
and particularly there, he's doing the backup stories are John Kent and Damian Wayne and Lizzie, Diana's daughter. So it's a little bit in the future. So it's like these kid hilarious stories.
yeah.
And there was a thing in today's backup that like I had to choke on laughter, not to disrupt an entire class taking a chemistry final.
That's
Because
funny.
you're reading comics.
That's funny.
So,
Mike, what do you like to read? Do you read comics
yeah. So
regularly?
tell us about. Well, that was going to be a little bit later. I was going to have him tell us about Galaxy of Madness, but he can take whichever
Well, it's
direction he
easy to
wants
answer.
to
I
go.
just don't have much time to read. Uh, Actually, I mean, recently I've just
Yeah,
been
the artists are
rereading some
always
of the Hellboy
working.
stuff
Yeah.
on
Oh,
my
Okay.
phone because I realized my phone is such a just.
Understand.
I mean, we're old. We won't get onto a rant about phones these days, but they're such a distractor. And like, what I decided to do is like, I needed to spend less time on social media. But if I'm still addicted to the phone, then I have like huge amount of digital comics. So I just start
See,
reading
I'm
that
the
stuff.
weird old guy. I didn't become addicted to my phone until I had a phone that was just big enough that I could read comics relatively well.
Oh, okay, yeah. Well, that's the path because the rest of it's just a distraction, right? Like,
yes.
can't even be bored anymore because even if I'm bored, then instead I'll just be distracted, which
Right.
isn't the same thing as being bored.
Right.
So yeah, unfortunately, like between working all day, Taki has MS, so I'm doing a
Right.
lot of the house stuff.
Oh, sure.
I just literally don't have time. Or then by the end of the day, when I would want to sit down and read something, I'm mentally exhausted. So I'm better off
Yeah.
just playing a video game and be mindless or something for the
And
last couple
I
hours of the
mean,
night.
that sounds like what did Terry Moore tell us the last time? He said, all of my friends are like, you got to go out and live, and then you'll have stuff to write about and whatnot. And I'm sitting there going, I've been drawing for 16 hours a day for 30
Yeah.
years. When am I supposed to do this
When
living thing?
I was younger, I could do that. You just literally, your battery power just isn't as strong as it used to be. So I used to be able
Right.
to work all day, like from like maybe 8 in the morning to like 6 at night, go out and drink and have fun, you know.
Yeah.
Now I eat lunch, I got to take a nap.
Exactly.
Pretty much.
Exactly.
I think Tyler and I are both on the bring nap time to high school committees.
Oh,
Mm,
for sure. Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, it shouldn't just be for preschoolers.
Yeah. My daughter,
So,
she's getting transitioned from junior kindergarten, what she's in right now, to kindergarten.
Mm,
And so in kindergarten they don't get the rest time anymore. And so in junior kindergarten they phased out the nap time. They at Christmas time they were no
really?
longer going to have the rest time. Yeah. So
Oh no.
yeah. So that was a
I mean,
huge
that's like
crisis in our
way
house.
worse on the teachers than on the kids.
Yeah, I know. I know.
To be honest.
Funny.
So tell us about Galaxy of Madness because this looks really cool too, and since it's all done, you know all about it.
So, Max Masaccio is writing it. We had started talking during our time when we were working on Young Animal books.
Okay.
She was doing Shade the Changing Woman.
Yep.
I was doing Kate Carson, and we just kind of been friends on social media and stuff. And they did cover for one of her books, and we're just looking for something to do together because I was like, all right, here's another interesting writer, make some interesting stuff. And one of the things she had pitched to me was this. And at first, I wasn't kind of like Powers. I wasn't really into it at first because it's a big story, and most of the stuff I'm doing, I do 4 issues and get out because if it's successful, we can do more. If it's 4 issues, don't have to worry about it, right? But this is more of an ongoing thing. This is longer. Um, but she sold me on the characters. Like once I actually read the thing, and it's basically like a father-daughter story, a really twisted one, but a father-daughter story set in a Silver Age retro comic. And I was like, all right, sold. So that's the setting. It's a Silver Age kind of vibe. There's lots of fins and ray guns and
Yeah.
kitschiness to it.
Mm-hmm.
But the core of the story is about Vigil Virgo. She's the daughter of these two famous archaeologists who discover a secret about the universe. and they go missing. And she's left behind with one of their partners, Odysseus Rex, and Odysseus raises Vigil Virgo, but he knows all these secrets about what was discovered and what her parents were up to. And while he's protective of her, he also wants to stop her from ultimately finding out that truth for all sorts of layered reasons. So you have an antagonist ally situation happening, right? And then you have your sort of classic ship of divergent characters and personalities who are on this cosmic trip, and it's got a lot of fun stuff in there from like the crazy alien stuff. There's a little like Douglas Adams kind of vibe to it, to one of my favorite subjects, which is archaeology. So there's some like space archaeology going in. So I got to work in a little like weird like time team detectorists scenes in there. And we go to all these crazy planets, and it's all character driven. And sort of there's this larger existential story that affects both the characters in the larger universe. And Taki's coloring it. So we had just come off of Dick Tracy, where we're doing some really crazy layouts of really crazy colors. And I think we found a really new sort of language. Like Taki's sort of doing stuff with colors and zipatone layers that she had never done before. So I'm super proud of it. And it's very unique. Like it's somewhere in between Cave Carson, Powers, and Dick Tracy. Like it doesn't quite look like my other stuff. I mean, it's still identifiably me, but
Yeah.
it's in this slightly brighter, I don't want to say cartoonier, but it's more
Well, I mean,
energetic,
I, I,
stripped down.
I've talked to you about that before. You are one of those artists that's very good at adapting to what you're doing. You've got a few quirks that are always identifiable, and it's mostly the Mignola in you. Um, but you know, United States of Murder Incorporated doesn't look like Powers, doesn't look
Hmm.
like um oh, what was the one you just did with Victor Santos that I loved?
Oh, Project Monarch.
Uh, Project Monarch. You know, we've got a couple of artists that we love that is sometimes hard to identify that it's them. There's so much. They're
Sure.
and you're not quite that. There's a definite
I
Oeming
appreciate that
twist
because
to it,
I
but you
always,
also it's not about you, it's about the story, if
yeah,
that makes
yeah.
sense.
I
And
often
that
don't
shows.
make, yeah, I often don't make a conscious choice of what the style is going to be. Like I kind of discover it.
Right.
And there's things about it that tells me like the BPRD story I'm doing right now, I intended to do almost all digitally. And then as I was doing the pages, I was like, oh no, this is working better analog, even if I have to
Right.
clean stuff up digitally because like my eyesight's not as good as it used to be. So some of the details get a little wonky on the page.
Right.
Um, and but it's worth it. It's worth it to go in overwords because there's something about um, what the material that Chris wrote and Mike's world that needed to be that, you
Right.
know. Although we do have plans on working something in the future, Chris Mignol and I, that I will be doing all digitally because I know that the material calls for that.
Right.
So that's what's in, yeah, it's always fun to find a thing. And William of Newberry was the same way. Like I thought it would go by much faster if I'm doing everything digitally. And I discovered I needed to draw the ink stuff, the line work needed to be analog and it needed to be mostly pen.
Okay.
And it just told me that as I was drawing it.
See, that's got to be. We hear so many different, particularly the artists of our age, your age. You know that decade where well, a couple of decades in there where everybody started before digital. In other words,
Yeah,
that you didn't do any digital, and then at some point you had to decide whether digital was something you were adopting or not, how you were adopting it,
yeah,
where you
How
were adopting
much,
it,
you know?
whether you were going all in, whether you were,
yeah.
just using it for and it's always interesting to see how people um integrate digital into their work. Talk to me about how that was for you.
Um, it came out of working. I had never really intended on going digitally, but it came out of working at Valve. It's a video game company. They did
Love
Left 4
Valve.
Dead, 2, Counter-Strike,
Portal.
um,
Didn't they
yeah,
do
Portal,
Portal? I just got done
yeah.
playing. Yep.
Yeah, Left 4 Dead, Dota, Team Fortress. And I was going in there to work on comics. And when I got there, like, all these artists had these weird TV screens that you could draw on. It was called the Wacom, the Cintiq. And I did my first digital drawings there. I still enjoyed for many years just working analog, and like parts of it were digital, and it was a slow growth. And sort of as the technology picked up, so it was the using the Wacoms. Much later, the iPad Pro became really I could take to my couch, very easily. I could take it on a plane ride with me or in a car. Clip Studio made a huge jump because there were tools in Clip Studio that helped, like that Photoshop just doesn't have. Photoshop was not made to make comics.
Right.
But a program like Procreate and Clip Studios, which came around 2012-ish, somewhere around that, right? Those started to give us tools that were really useful as comic book artists. And I think the first time I worked fully digitally might have been Dick Tracy.
Okay.
Yeah. And up till then, I was just kind of mixing things in together. So some pages were missing panels because some of the panels were digital, but the page was analog, or the background is where it first started to come in for me, was using background material to help fill out a page,
Okay.
which also has its disadvantages. Sometimes you don't want a background.
Right.
One of the disadvantages of digital is because it's so easy, you can lose things like negative space.
Right.
You can lose things like you can lose balance because you could just keep adding. I hate to say it to like the younger people, but um, it is easy drawing digitally. Like, it does a lot of work for you. If you've ever had to set up your own perspective grids, we used to have meter long rulers, to be able to figure out, our perspective grids and stuff.
Right.
Now the thing does perspective for you. If you don't have a steady hand, if you didn't study your line weights in order to make a steady hand brush stroke with your hand, it will do it for you.
Right.
And that's not bad. It's just different.
Yeah,
And
what I'll
I
say,
think it's
that
good
the
because it's
teacher in me who always wants to stand up for the students not having it easier, because God, do kids always get told that they have it easier? And I spend
yeah,
enough
they don't know
times
that. They're
around,
still experiencing the
but
difficulties
but
that they're experiencing.
yeah, but beyond that, I spend enough time around them to go, no, they have some things easier and some things harder, and
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and a lot of things the same.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
so yeah, there are aspects that are easier, but you also just said it's actually a challenge not to overfill it, to
Yeah.
keep the page balance. So maybe their technique is easier, but their ability to actually make that great piece of art is
Yeah, it also
still
makes it
a
much more
lot.
accessible. It makes it much
Right.
more accessible for somebody to get into the work and to be
Right.
rewarded for doing a finished piece.
Right.
There's two, I mean, there's not two different kind of artists. That's a dumb thing to say, but like some of us
Lots of different kind of
enjoy,
artists.
yeah, some of us enjoy the labor that goes into making a detail page.
Right.
Some of us don't.
Right.
There are some artists that do like an incredible amount of cross hatching to the point that it looks medieval,
Landis
like some sort of
Blair.
medieval cross hatching stuff.
Landis
And I wish I could
Blair.
remember names because I'm terrible at them. There's a guy Ian something in Portland I'm specifically thinking of, and like I watch his videos of his cross hatching detail, and I'm like, this would drive me insane. But clearly he's enjoying it, right? So then there are artists that like they need to just I need to move quickly on a page. Like I don't want to, and I started out being like that. I started out wanting to be like Art Adams, wanted to be like Christopher Golden, or Michael Golden, and just detail, detail, detail. But as I got older and I needed to just produce more pages, like I became more about stripping things down. And then ironically now, instead of doing a lot of detail, I spend a lot of time taking detail out, like erasing exterior lines or inking over a figure that I over inked and taking stuff out. Which is a great part of working digitally. You have those choices now and stuff.
I like how,
Yeah.
especially in Blue Book, I like how heavy the inks are.
Oh, thank you.
I think they're really weighty, and they really add so much to the emotion that you're supposed to get with that blue tone to everything.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
What's funny is I have to really fight on Blue Book to get that line work to be thicker
Do
because
you?
it's so easy to make a beautiful thin line digitally,
Yep.
especially because you can zoom in and stuff. So sometimes I'm trying to force myself not to zoom in on a page. Like I could pan around the page
Hmm.
because I can't fully see the whole page and stuff, but I have to like fight. And sometimes I've even like made another layer of the inks and then moved it up 1 pixel and then filled in like sort of the edges of it because it's hard to get the thickness that you can get out of a brush.
Hmm.
Um, and in fact, you can look at the first Blue Book with Betty and Barney Hill was mostly analog with a few digital pages.
Okay.
Since then, everything's been digital, but I'm trying to trick my brain into think that I'm working analog to hold up that same sort of thickness and that darkness and weirdness that comes with drawing analog.
Okay. Okay. Cool.
I love, but I love the choices, and I love that I can do both. I love that young people can come in and do both. And again, I don't want that rant earlier to sound
No, I don't think it did.
like an insult or anything. It's just a different thing.
Yeah.
Just the same way that like when we came in with rapidographs and other kind of pens, like I didn't have to use quill brushes all the time
Right.
like my predecessors. There are
Right.
new sets of pens that I could use and stuff. These are all new tools and things.
Man, why
Um,
weren't you pricking your finger to get the red?
To get the red.
yeah,
I mean, in my day.
we bled for our art.
So where did you start off? Where did you go to school? Or did you go to school?
I didn't. One of the things I love about art is the entranceway is really low. There's no, I couldn't afford to go to art school. We were
Yeah.
poor people.
Yeah.
So like, my art school was studying the comics that I could find and meeting people I could find. So I'd go to conventions, and that's where I met guys like Neil Vokes.
Yep.
Neil Vokes has been around a long time, and he taught me a whole bunch of stuff. He's like an older brother and a mentor. Adam Hughes, I was very lucky. He was one town over. We became very close friends, and he showed me a lot. That was my art school, was learning from those guys. I do wish I had the opportunity to go to art school because there's stuff now. There's a lot of art history I wish I understood.
Yeah.
Not just like the history of like the people and places, but like the history of techniques.
Yep.
There's a lot of that I wish that I had been exposed to. But what I loved was the entranceway was so it's been pen and paper. Right now it's like the internet,
Yeah.
right? So you can get out there and share your work.
Right.
It is a great leveler of not all disadvantages, but a lot of disadvantages out there, whether it's economic or whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, I didn't get to go to art school, but my art school was just hard work,
Yeah.
and opportunity and being in the right place at the right time, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, you just brought up something that I love about comics right now is that, I mean, it's still such a hard industry to make a living in,
Mhm.
but the threshold for just making a comic and getting it out there has never been lower.
Oh my God. When we started out, like my earliest comics, this is funny, they were porn comics.
Right.
They were porn parodies.
Right.
They were like
Yep.
Dr. Hooters and
Right.
Yep.
whatever, right? And one of the reasons for that wasn't just because I was 18, but it was because when you were soliciting a book, you didn't know if you're an indie publisher working with an indie publisher house, you didn't know if you'd get enough orders. So back then there was a big boom in that sort of stuff and like rock and roll biography comics and stuff
Right.
because it costs so much money to self-publish a book, even in black and white back then. It was a huge amount of money that went into it. So you didn't know if it would even order enough to publish.
Whereas
Like
now
I've
there's
seen people go into debt over
right.
publishing a black and white book.
wh-
Now you can, there's webtoons, your
Yeah,
own blog,
well,
there's
I
all
was
these
gonna say,
entrance ways.
I mean, I was talking to Dennis Kitchen recently, and his daughter puts a ton of her stuff up on Instagram, and I started laughing. He's like, "What?" Is like, I'm like, I need to get more into Instagram comics in general because I know a number of people that are essentially part of a scene where like 90% of the comics they read are on Instagram.
Yeah,
And they get printed. They get printed when there are enough people that like them
yeah,
that the printing gets paid for.
yeah. It's so wonderful. It's great, and it's also
You
hard.
know,
Like, I
I
don't.
mean,
It's
they
also
have
hard
their day
because
jobs and they draw a comic every night and they
yeah,
put it up on Instagram. And at some point, they either kickstart it or they run a GoFundMe or whatever. And they put the zine together and they go to Cake or they go to
yeah,
SPX, or
Yep.
they go to CXC, or even smaller cons.
Yeah, and
Do you guys-
that's what's beautiful now is you can do your work and be quote
Yeah.
rewarded by sharing it, and people will see it
Right.
before it's all one thing. So
Right.
you can have that full-time job, come home, just do a panel, publish it, do another
Right.
panel, publish it. That's incredibly supportive
Or
for a lot of
the
us.
4-panel page is really popular on Instagram. You'll do a 4-panel comic almost
Mm,
daily.
yeah,
Sometimes there's a lot of 4-panel autobiographical comics
yeah,
out there. It's essentially 4 panels of what I did with my day, but they're developing their craft. If you and I haven't spent enough time with them, but I've spent some, and you can watch the progression and how the lines get
yeah,
crisper and the lettering gets
yeah.
better.
And the downside of it
And,
is it could be that like there's
and they get feedback all along
yeah,
the way.
yeah,
Rather than it being that thing that they do and never, they immediately have oh, this is cool. And, oh, it's looking so much better.
yep,
Or I haven't seen this character in a while.
yeah,
Is everything okay?
yeah.
you know, um, and I still haven't like cracked into that, but it's an area of comics that I want to get to know better because it's so, I mean, one of the great things about comics has always been the community. But it's so amazing the different ways the comics community goes
Yeah.
now, and then all come back together
Yeah,
too.
it's grown so much since when I got in. There was
Yeah.
a small independent scene. That was it. And now I think it's like 50-50,
Yeah.
Now by 50-50, when I'm talking about the independent scene, it's so spread out like vapor. It can be hard to get attention
Oh,
and stuff.
absolutely.
But there's now space there that there wasn't before.
Right. Yeah. So I know we're running up on your time.
Yeah.
A couple of quick questions. Any cons in your future?
I'm gonna do a book signing with Taki down at Books with Pictures on the 31st at the end of the month for William
Very cool.
Newberry.
Sure.
I'll have to send my brother out again.
Excellent.
You've met my brother. He came and got Sleeping While Standing from you. He
Oh,
lives in
that's
town.
awesome, man. That's
I
awesome.
have my signed copy. I think he even got there in time for cookies. Didn't you take cookies for that?
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
I did.
Yeah, that was Book with Pictures in Portland, I did. Yeah.
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 It was the Sleeping While Standing. Taki
That's
told me
awesome.
about it when she was on. She's like, "Yeah, I'll be signing it," and I'm like, "I'm
Yeah.
sending my brother."
Question for you, Dad.
Uh,
Did your brother know who Mike is, or was he going strictly for
Oh, yeah.
you? Okay, he knew who he was.
For the
I mean, he was
cookies.
going strictly for me and
Okay.
the cookies, but I mean, one of Peter's first comic obsessions was Ultimate Spider-Man.
Me
Mm.
too.
So when he'd blown through Ultimate Spider-Man, I gave him powers.
Yep.
Nah.
So
Awesome,
I mean,
awesome. And Brian always
yeah.
shows up at these things too. And
yeah.
Oh,
So
I love the
all
way
the more reason for me to manage to go visit my brother in Portland.
Yeah.
So my last question, I know you haven't been reading much lately because Tyler was just asking about that, but I always like to ask anybody in comics, give me a book, a comic that you love that you don't feel like enough other people have read and you need them to read it so that you can talk to them about it.
I have such bad recall. I mean, I'll just plug Taki's book. I think it is one of the
Sleeping While Standing
best things ever
is-
published because
I
like it changed the way that I write. Like that's how good this is. Like she to tell her biography story in 4-page increments and to ask her why she made the choices that she did. It literally changed me as a writer and how I write.
Wow.
So I'll go there, not just because she's my wife, but because like it literally just changed the way that I write.
Well, I mean, that came out. I know it made my best of that year.
2021, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought it was 2022.
Maybe. It's such a blur. We lost all that time.
I know.
Right. Because we did our top 27 that year, and for me, it was number 4.
It was your number 4 in your top 27
It
of.
was my number 4 book. Of
Nice,
the year.
nice. Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, another one would be The Many Deaths of Layla Starr. That was
Oh my
the one
God.
That was so good.
blew my mind.
So good.
That was so
Yeah,
good.
I read
So
that and
good.
I was envious of the choices that Pam and the
Zoe
artists were
Zoe
making.
Thorogood is, and she just Tim Seeley let her do hack slash. She's the
Mm.
first person ever to be able to write and draw her own hack slash, and she did like a prequel and just knocked it out of the park.
Yeah, Zoe's amazing. Yeah, she's also done work
Yeah,
with Avery Hill, which was the publisher for Sigma
yeah,
Standing. She's been another creator that I just had my eye on going, oh wow, that's awesome. Oh
yeah.
wow, look at that.
The impending blindness of Billy,
Hmm.
and then she did Joe Hill's Reign
Okay.
was really good too with David Moore. Yeah, no, she hasn't done a lot yet. She's a youngster, but actually, look at this. Number 5 on my list of books from that year was "It's Lonely in the Center of the Earth." Zoe
Okay. Yeah.
Thorogood.
There you
Funny.
go.
Funny.
So yeah, Mike,
Awesome.
it's always a pleasure. You're welcome back anytime.
Thank you,
And
Ted and Tyler. I really appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
yeah,
Yeah, it was a
Tyler,
lot of
take
fun.
us out.
All right, guys. So thanks for listening, and we will catch you after the next page. Later. Hey guys, this is Tyler from 22 Panels. I'm here to tell you all about our Patreon. If you enjoy this show, please consider donating to our Patreon to keep this show going. We have many different tiers, all different levels to help you decide what's right for you. Okay, so get on out there to patreon.com/22 Panels Podcast.